It's pretty crazy the things that you see driving down the road. There I am just buttering on down US 63 on my way home. And I just passed a guy who was wearing shorts and a tank top and flip-flops, who was riding a little tiny electric scooter, like a little Trax scooter, like what I have. But he had two 5-gallon buckets stacked on top of each other that he was sitting on, just puttering down the highway. Interesting. It's kind of funny, the things that you see while you're driving down the highway. I had just passed a kind of a construction site, and then a couple of miles, I saw a guy standing right here on the side of the road, on the right side, facing the left side of the road, and he was standing there in his underwear, and he was looking at his cell phone. And he had no shirt on, and he had no pants on. It was just underwear, and clearly the guy had a boner. He was sticking up. I had the side profile, and you could tell. So he was just standing there looking at his phone on the edge of traffic, and apparently aroused. I don't know. Strange, very strange. It's interesting, the things that you see on the side of the road. I think on the second day, as I was driving through, before I got to the National Forest part of Wisconsin, I was driving a lot of back roads and dirt roads and country roads, and it was Amish country. About every second or third house that you'd see was a beautiful big farm kind of almost plantation style home with Amish. Some of them were big, some of them were little, some of them had a little fenced in, and of course you know it's Amish by their clothes and by the look and by the utensils that they use. So I was driving along, and I was past a couple houses, and then there was a beautiful little house with a picket fence, and I saw a guy out in his Amish pants and his Amish long sleeve shirt, and almost his straight comb down and cut across the front haircut, pushing a reel-to-reel mower. This was on Saturday, so of course no electric mower, no engine powered mower. He was out there just pushing that mower, cutting by hand like they did years and years ago. And the guy had the biggest smile on his face, and he gave me a big "Hey, how you doing?" wave. I know the guy was out there killing himself. He was like, this is miserable. I hate my life right now. I'm cutting this grass. But he seemed happy. He gave me a big wave. It's interesting, the things you see on the side of the road. It's kind of funny, the things that you see on the side of the road. I was driving along one of those country roads where it's just dirt, not much more than two little tracks of dirt with some grass in the middle. And I was going probably about 30, 35, maybe 40, cruising along, and I see a whole bunch of black dots in the road up ahead. And I come up on them, I get closer, and I see it's a bunch of wild turkeys. A whole bunch of wild turkeys, like 20 of them, and they were big turkeys. And one of them got up and started flying down the road straight ahead. So the rest of them started flying. Apparently one, he couldn't fly very well or didn't feel like flying. He started hoofing it. He was just just straight down the road in front of me. I'd slowed way down, and I kind of followed him just running for about a quarter mile. And finally, he ducked over to the right into the trees where the other ones who'd flown ahead had landed. Interesting things that you see on the side of the road. It's interesting the things that you see on the side of the road. You see all kinds of different homes. Man, I drove in front of like just a water's edge and Great Lake Superior, and you see these homes that are like just across the road with a beautiful view and a little tiny home but immaculate. You go by these Amish homes, and they had the flowers out front, the nice metal roof, the big buildings for their barn and their gardening or farming implements and stuff. But on the edge of the national forest, just about a mile before I pulled into the national forest land back where they had, people had their houses, there was an old wooden frame home and a little tiny shack right next to it. And you could tell both were lived in, both had been lived in. You could tell that there were like chairs and stuff out front, the little tiny shack. And the old home was beautiful. It was a very, very nice home. But there was one tree on this lot. And that tree had fallen over and landed on the home. And apparently the people had moved out of the home or survived the landing of the tree on the home and moved into the little shack. So, interesting things you see on the side of the road. It's kind of interesting, some of the things that you see on the side of the road whenever you're taking a drive across the state. So I intentionally mapped out these off-road trails through GPS, Gaia GPS, and I tried to be off-road as much as possible, off of pavement. I think probably 60 to 70% were non-pavement on the journey north. So I was able to stay on dirt roads. Well, so I went through Black River State Forest, which is a beautiful part of Wisconsin, and went through that, and it was kind of half pavement, half off-road. But just north of that, I crossed the interstate and actually had found a dirt trail route, which seemed like out in the middle of nowhere. And I'm going through this route, and there's really, really nice maintained dirt roads, and then offshoots, and then through the forest, and then across the plains. And then I come up on a airstrip, but it's not really an airstrip. It's not really a flight line. there are buildings there that look like hangars and buildings, but they're not. It's just the shell of that. And there's an old C-130, looks like Air Force plane sitting there and tracked off or fenced off. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Maybe it's like a static display or something. And then I keep going through this dirt road, and I see these shipping containers, those big storage shipping containers that you see on ships, stacked up on top of each other on the side of the road, some 2 high, some 3 high, some 1 high, but they're painted to look like houses and villages. I'm like, wow, that's interesting. Maybe this is a training location for something or whatever. And then I turn the corner, and there's this big hill that I'm able to climb up with my truck, and it says landing zone. There's a landing zone up there, and there's like a windsock and everything at the top of this hill. So I climb up, crest the hill, go back down, go through. There's a little bridge and an overhang, like a bit of a checkpoint or a waypoint. And again, more of these shipping containers that are painted up to look like villages. And there's even a few of them that look like mosques with a big dome on top. So it looks like a place of worship or something there. And I'm like, wow, this is cool. This must be some kind of fancy training location or whatever. And I pull out of the dirt road onto the highway, and across the highway is Fort McCoy Army Base. So they must use that for all kinds of training and operations. People probably do armament training and, Middle East type battle training and stuff over there. And I look by, and I see the road sign on the highway that said, caution, tank crossing. Caution, heavy vehicle crossing. So, yeah, looks like they just go across the highway from the Army base and do some cool training there. So that was kind of cool. It's just strange, just some of the things that you see on the side of the road. You know, it's strange, some of the things that you see on the side of the road or over the road as you're going by. You know, it's kind of interesting, the things you see on the side of the road. I'm here driving near Springbrook Township on US 63, and there's every couple acres there's a house on the side of the road with a driveway that leads off the highway, and on a lot of them you'll see firewood for sale. I don't know, maybe there's a lot of camping around here or something. Firewood for sale. I see one that's firewood for sale, $5, and they have like a cord or a couple cords out front. And usually on our system, you go up and pay yourself, I think. The next one, firewood, $4 for sale. Firewood for sale, $4. These are hand-painted signs on a piece of plywood or something. The next one's firewood for sale, $3. Only $3. Okay. There's a river that runs through. It's a bunch of canoe landings, so there must be a bunch of camping and stuff where you can't cut down the wood there. I was looking for one that said firewood for free, or we'll pay you $5. Some people get into the things like, Tupperware or whatever, and it's like this neighborhood competition of who has what for sale. It must be firewood around here. I saw one guy in the middle of them. He didn't have firewood, but he had a couple of old stacks of tires out there. 3 stacked up, and then 3 stacked up like this, and then one sitting like that. And there's tires for sale, used tires for sale. Must be a lot of market for secondhand tires or firewood around here. So interesting, the things that you see on the side of the road. Funny right there. So it's just funny, the things that you see on the side of the road. Driving along here on South 53, US Route 53, and I saw a billboard for a jewelry store, and there was a picture of a big diamond ring on there, and it said it said, if she wanted to give you an engagement truck, you wouldn't hesitate. I just thought that was pretty interesting. These good old boys up here in northern Wisconsin would not hesitate for an engagement truck. So there's a picture of a beautiful ring there. Encouraging folks to go to that jewelry store and not hesitate to get the engagement ring. Funny. It's just funny what you see on the side of the road. You know, it's funny, the things you see on the side of the road. Stopped at the local Holiday here to get gas. And what do you see but the world's largest Adirondack chair? Looks comfy to me. It's funny what you see on the side of the road.